it's Alice Klug. It's my day off today, and yes, realtors take days off. I'm in my sweaties, and I just wanted to talk about a book that I'm reading and just have a quick chat about buying in this market in Victoria. I know a lot of people are wondering what's going on and how they can make a purchase wisely, so if you're interested in that, stay tuned and we will chat. So right now, my bedtime reading is Robert Kiyosaki's The Real Book of Real Estate. And it's a great book. Not only am I a realtor, and obviously I'm a dirt biker as well, I'm interested in real estate investments. And not all realtors do real estate investments. It's kind of some do, some don't. But I'm young, and as my goal for growing into my old age, I intend on having a real estate portfolio. And that starts with knowledge and teaching myself how to wisely do it. And I read all types of books about finance and the economy and real estate investment, so this is just another one. And I actually really like this guy, Robert Kiyosaki. You probably have seen his other book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. It's an oldie and it's pretty basic as far as financial stuff goes, but if you know nothing about finances, go read that book and it will get you on a little kick for learning about finance. But anyways, yeah, this book has been really great so far. I'm about halfway through. And I was reading last night this section where he talks about the boom-bust cycle and how real estate is cyclical. And I know last year when the market was really on fire, I got into a lot of heated debates with people because they basically, and these people were not real estate agents, they're just homeowners who really, drank the Kool-Aid on the fact that, the market's going to keep going up forever into eternity. And, they didn't want to believe that we were in a sort of cycle, even though real estate is always in some kind of cycle. They didn't want to believe that. And now that it's starting to come down, yes, it's vindicating. But, it's a little bit of a feeling like, how can I teach people about this so that I don't have to fight people and, be like, hey, you should sell your property right now. It's the top of the bubble. If you're intending on selling, you should sell now and not get kickback. Because I got so much kickback and people said, oh no, it's just going to keep going up, and now their properties have dropped to $100,000 and I could have sold it in multiple offers last year with, dog pee on the carpet. It's just, anyways. So this book has a nice little diagram that I'll put up on the screen that shows a really simple way of looking at the real estate market and its cycles. So you can't see anything here, so I'll put it up on the screen. It says the market cycle quadrants. And so there are 4 phases to real estate cycles. And the most common time frame that I hear is 7 to 10 years is the average life cycle of a real estate cycle. So the first cycle is vacancy rates start coming down and there's not a lot of new construction. If I had to pinpoint this, I bet we'd be around 2012 is when we were in phase 1 of the real estate cycle. Like, real estate prices weren't too high. Could be back even farther, it could be 2010, but thereabouts is when it was healthy, right? It was a balanced market. Prices weren't too crazy and people could still afford reasonably. That's when me and my husband entered the market, was 2011 or 2012. I was 24 years old and we bought our first condo. And it was affordable, it was great, it was easy to buy, there was lots of inventory to choose from, and it was just a really good experience. And, even if we had chosen to rent, there was still a lot of choice for rentals as well. So fast forward about 3 years, you get to, say, 2014, 2015, and you start looking at phase 2, where you're starting to go up, 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 up. And, that's where you start seeing vacancy rates being at all-time lows, and you start seeing cranes pop up in the skyline. And, when the vacancy goes down, they start building, right? It's after they drop below around, it really depends on the city. Some people say the guideline is around 10% when you start seeing below 10% vacancy rates, you start seeing new construction because there's supply and demand, and if there's not enough rentals, then there's demand, so they build. And this is when you get that really hot market, and phase 2 is what we've been in for the past like 4 years. It's been hot, right? 2017, the summer of 2017, it was crazy. Like bidding wars, no subjects, no property inspections, nothing, people overpaying by $100,000, like just nuts. And now, if you ask me, my personal opinion, because I cannot even get another realtor in my brokerage to say the word bubble, because they will not acknowledge it. They will not acknowledge that there's anything going on. Even though this is obviously cyclical, this is the real estate, this is how it is. It's always in a state of flux. It's always changing. It goes up, it goes down, you know, like the cycles, like they go up slowly, but you're going to have those dips, and learning to buy when it's down low is going to really benefit you when you decide to sell when it goes high. And, you know, it really helps to know this kind of stuff, because this is how you can buy in an educated manner and not buy in a declining market and overpay for something and then be underwater on your mortgage. That's what we want to avoid. We don't want you having financial difficulties if, you know, the interest rates go up to 5% and then you are totally screwed because you can't afford your mortgage. That's what we're trying to avoid. So that's why I'm talking about this. Anyways, if you ask me, we are shifting. I think we've already shifted, but very slightly, because this next phase, phase 3, is probably going to be 3 years, 2 or 3 years. It really depends on how hard it crashes. But anyways, you're starting to see housing prices coming down, slower open houses, slower sales, more inventory. Okay, so in this chart it says increasing vacancy rates, increasing vacancy rates and new construction. So there are still tons of new construction, especially where I live on the west shore of Victoria, out in Langford. There's lots of new construction. There's so many new condos going up. And in Victoria, there's lots of new construction. So this is when you start to see the market declining and oversupply. It's in this situation that I would not want to be a person who has bought a pre-sale on a condo at an inflated price. Say you bought in 2017 and you're waiting for it to be built. That's going to be scary. But anyways, the vacancy rates haven't really gone up all that much. We're still kind of in a rental crisis, and I don't know if it's quite as bad as it was last year, but it's not easy to find a rental. So that's the only variable in this one compared to other boom bust cycles. But it's just phase 3 is declining. That's when you decline. Prices are coming down, it's flattening out, it's starting to turn into a bit of a buyer's market. And then you have phase 4, which is recession. And we went through this in 2008, right? People remember this. It's not that long ago. I remember it, and I'm not even, I'm 32, but, it hit people hard. And people who were prepared for it, they made money on it. If you were prepared for the recession and you saw it coming and you knew that they were giving out crap mortgages to people who couldn't afford it, especially in the States, places like Arizona, Florida, they crashed hard. They crashed real hard because, I hate to say it, but people who are uneducated don't know anything about this kind of stuff, and they buy because they hear it on the news, oh, the market's hot, fear of missing out, and they don't want to miss out on that, so they go for it because they think it's just gonna, the prices are just gonna go astronomical and they're gonna win the lottery on their property. And it didn't work out for them that time, and I don't think it's gonna work out for people this time, And the recession is kind of when I think a lot of people have a bit of a come to God moment, and they have to decide on keeping their property or selling it, or, how to survive. But there are people like me and my husband who I'm a cheapskate, right? I'm a cheapskate. I'm frugal. I'm conservative, and I could see this bubble coming a mile away. It's obvious. If you're listening to just a real estate agent who's saying there's no bubble, then I don't know what to say to you. You should be doing more research. You should be taking ownership of your finance and learning how to make your dollars work for you. And if you don't pay attention to this stuff and you don't know, then go pick up some books, go get a library card. I go to the library all the time, right? You gotta be in control of your education because nobody's gonna teach you. You didn't learn this stuff in school because they probably don't want you knowing how to be financially successful. People who, like me, who are cheap and are not controlled by advertisements and, you're not tricked into buying stuff and, fear of missing out and all that kind of crap, you're a lot harder to control because, you know what is valuable in life. And you don't spend stupid money. You're not upgrading a big screen TV every year because, you're afraid of not looking good. Those people who know how to self-educate and have patience, those are the people that end up winning. And those are the people who don't end up eating cat food when they're 85 because they know how to save their money and they know how to hold money. And this is what I'm trying to talk to people about and trying to teach people. So I'm waiting for this phase 4 recession. And not because I want it to happen, because this is happening, and there's either people who are, the fools that run in at the last minute and buy when it's, declining, or there's people like me who I want to own an investment property. I own my main residence, but I'm not buying an investment property in a bubble because that's not when you buy. That's when you wait, you save your money, and then you wait for this recession to come down to the very bottom. That's my dog walking in the background. You wait for that to come down to the very bottom, and when it starts to tip up again, just slightly, if you're watching, you got to pay attention. If you want to profit and, actually buy at the right time, you wait till that starts ticking up again, and then you start looking at buying. So this entire time when it's phase 3, hyper supply, and then you start going through recession, that's when you sit on your hands and you do not buy. If your friends are buying and saying, oh, you're missing out, let them buy. You can't stop other people from doing, stupid things. I know that as a real estate agent. I advise people all the time on how to be wise about spending their money and about buying, and people don't listen. And I normally don't work with those people because I don't want them coming back to me when they get bit in the ass. I don't want them coming back to me and putting it back on me. People don't listen though. So if you're patient and you wait for this recession to start to recover, that's when you start buying up properties, and I'm telling you, it's going to be a fire sale price. Right? That's when I'm buying my investment property. I'm waiting, and if that takes 6 years, that's fine, right? I own my main residence. I'm not using it for something to live in. So anyways, I can put this back up on the screen, or I'll link to a little PDF, but I really recommend, if you are interested in taking ownership of your education and learning for yourself and not just listening to me or anybody else, then pick up a book like this. He talks about, the right type of corporation to have if you want to own, properties as a business and not just, being a random person who invests, but actually, guarding your assets and being wise about it. This is a great book, and it was $25. Buy it on Kindle, I don't care. Get it at the library. It's a great book. It's easy to read, it's easy to understand, and he's got a lot of different lawyers and property inspectors who have written the chapters on this. So these are from people who work in the industry and who understand it. So anyways, that's my recommendation. I don't get anything out of it. I'm just sharing what I'm reading. And for those people who are not looking for investment properties, and I know Victoria is so hard to buy an actual property to live in, because the property prices, they're still pretty high, and there's not a lot of places to move to rent because the rental market is non-existent. I understand the need to try and find something to buy, and a lot of people have kids and they need somewhere secure. And in that case, if you're buying in a declining market because you need a home, that's what it's all about, right? It's the housing market, it's your home. If you need to, then buy conservatively. Don't buy something at the top of your range in a declining market because you're going to be underwater soon. You know what I mean? Buy something that is going to somewhat hold its value and is not too financially taxing for you, and buy that to hold it. Don't buy it with the intention of selling in 2 years. In a declining market, you are going to lose money. I can guarantee you. So if you're buying, I told any of my buyers last year, I said, if you're buying to hold. Otherwise, I'm not helping you. I don't want that on my hands. Right? So at least 5-6 years, that's about the time frame that I would say if you're buying in this market, plan on holding. Don't buy now if you're planning on moving to South America in a year. I can guarantee you it's going to hurt. So anyways, I digress. If you live in Victoria, you can always call me for a coffee and we can chat about it. I'm always happy to help and give honest advice. But yeah, I just wanted to talk about that boom-bust cycle and why we are in this situation and why it's not surprising that the market's cooling off after such a hyperactive market last year and the previous years. So anyways, yeah, I don't want it to be a bit of a downer, but I just... it's my intention to help people learn about the market with these videos, and at least if I'm talking about it and other people are talking about it, then people start getting informed, and that's what we want, is informed buyers and consumers and informed citizens. So that's my deal. Also, I wanted to share, there's a few people that I follow on YouTube, and I've been following for years, that I really like, that talk about the real estate market. So really quick, I will say my top 3 that I like to follow, and I just watch them on, you know, if I'm doing my weight workout or my treadmill workout, I just pop them on YouTube and give it a listen. So the first one is Mike Martins. I've been watching him for a couple years, and the first video I saw of him, he was standing in front of a construction site, and he was reading right from a news article and kind of like, you know, getting mad and yelling about it. And it's basically, back then it was about the foreign ownership, and he was super upset about what was going on. And basically he's just like an average citizen. He's a business owner, self-made man, and he's telling it like it is, and just kind of calling bullshit on a lot of the news articles that he was reading. And he's great. He doesn't dress like a business person at all. He's kind of pretty casual and cool guy in general. So I'll link to him. I really like following him and his videos. He's quite outspoken. Steve Saretsky, I think I'm saying that right. He's a realtor in Vancouver, and he is always putting up videos about the Vancouver market, which I've always found relevant because we are kind of on Vancouver Island, at least we're kind of linked to the Vancouver market, and he gives a really good overview of what's going on in general. So I really appreciate his insight, and you know, I'm sure he's a successful realtor, you know, in his demographic, so you know, he's just taking the time to inform people as well. So I would definitely follow him if you're interested. The last person I follow, I don't know his name, but his channel is the Formafist Network. I'll put his little logo and link. But he does really great informational videos on real estate, and he does a really good job of drawing, I guess, infographics, or, you know, he draws a lot of charts and stuff to show people, you know, firsthand what's going on and how to understand things. And he gives a really honest view of the real estate market, and I tend to agree with most of what he says. So I don't know, I like listening to him. I think he's smart, and I don't think he's in the real estate market, but I think he knows people who kind of are, or who invest in it. So anyways, I always appreciate his videos, and I'll share that as well. So that's all I got for today, and yeah, if you have any questions or comments, you can comment below or email me. I'm always happy to chat, and I always respond. I'm not a D-bag who doesn't respond to messages. And you can check out my website if you want, or you can subscribe or like my video. And that's all I got. So we'll talk soon. Bye.